Hello guys, welcome back to a new video here today. Happy to be back, happy to have you guys here today. In today's video, we're going to be talking about life is determined about how you think of it and yourself. I'm making this video here today because I feel like this is a very strong key point about life. This is just a life lesson here. We all know that life is all about perspective, and how you see your life determines how you're going to live your life. Right? Because we can have two different people that have two different perspectives on life. One person can think, man, life is only a simulation where, we just eat, sleep, and breathe, and we do the same things every day, and this and that, and we're controlled. Or someone can think, man, no, life is all about finding yourself, finding your purpose, finding God, and becoming the best version of yourself, and just living this beautiful life, right? And obviously, if these two people have two different perspectives, their lives are going to go in two separate directions, right? That's why it's so crucial to be aware of this, be aware of how your perspective what is your perspective? Is it life is beautiful, life is amazing, or life is just dull, life is hell, life is just this and that? I don't hate, but I superly dislike when people say life is hell, because man, life is so beautiful and you're just looking at the negatives in it. That just says a lot about yourself as well. You know what I mean? Your perspective on life shapes every decision you make. Every decision we made led us to where we're at right now. So for me to know that life is about finding purpose, finding yourself, and finding God, and finding the gratitude and loveliness in life, I come into my everyday life knowing I'm optimistic, knowing I'm going to learn something. I'm going to bounce back from this. I'm going to learn from this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. While someone else can be thinking, man, why does this happen to me? Why am I taking so many L's? Why am I not finding the one? Why am I not finding a job? Why am I not finding myself? Why don't I know anything? Why can't I control myself? Well, it all starts from your perspective about life, your perspective about yourself. Your thoughts about yourself become reality. That's my second point. If you think you're just some NPC, some side character, yeah, you're not going to get no main missions. You're not going to find any beauty in life if you think, man, I'm just not built to have this. I'm not meant to have this. I'm not this and that. Because what you say to yourself, you start believing. You start creating reasons to believe it. You know what I mean? Like, I think I don't know if everybody's seen this clip, but this one clip with Tony Robbins asking Theo Vaughn, if you look around this room and you look around the things and see what things are red. You know what I mean? Some things might be brownish, some darkish, but you're still going to count it red. Why? Because your brain just believed it. So your mind just made it a thought, so you believed it. And that's the whole point exactly. What you think about yourself and life is how life is going to hit you. So instead of saying, man, life is always handing me L's and L's and L's and L's and L's this season, no, just be like, no, life is handing me a bunch of lessons this season, a bunch of things I need to learn about myself and life and my purpose and my things I got to understand. That's a big difference in perspective and in mindset that we need to shift about ourselves. And that's not something that changes overnight, in a couple days, in a few months. That's a thing that's an everyday progress until you kind of master it. As someone that would overthink so much about just my personal life and my relationships, I started to realize, man, I started to make my mindset, my thoughts into a strength. I started giving myself encouragement, positive thoughts of affirmations as well, and started realizing being there for myself, taking care of myself. And I started understanding myself, understanding my emotions, which started helping me taking better care of myself. You know what I mean? And that leads into my third point. Are you your biggest critic, or are you your biggest supporter? That's how you know if you're there for yourself. Well, number one, we could be both. That's not true. Obviously, we do want to. We are our own biggest critique, but you still want to be your biggest supporter as well. You know what I mean? Like, nobody talks to you more than yourself. Even when we're thinking, we're still talking to ourselves, thinking to ourselves, should I do this? Should I do that? You know what I mean? And understanding yourself and viewing yourself goes into a big part of being your own biggest supporter, right? Because how can you be your biggest supporter if you don't even like who you are? You know what I mean? And I've realized I made mistakes telling people, be yourself, when people don't like who they are, don't like themselves. And that's why it's so important to start off with, man, first off, how do you think about life? How do you think about yourself? What do you not like about yourself? What do you want to change about yourself? And know that change is possible. You know what I mean? So that's my third biggest point, is make sure that voice in your head is pushing you forward, not pushing you backward. And you might think, well, how can I start that? Well, how can I change my mindset? Well, first off, think of it like this. Okay, your first thought, if you've been telling yourself, I'm naturally a negative person, I'm naturally think the worst case scenario, tell yourself, okay, it's fine to think the worst case scenario at first. The first thought of thinking, dang, I messed up, or dang, I fucked up, or I'm such a dumbass. Be like, no. Remember, that first thought is natural, but you could change your second thought. You could change your third thought. You could change your fourth thought and be like, wait a minute. Let me take a deep breath and realize it's okay. What I did was completely valid and completely natural. It's okay, Ricardo. It's okay, whoever your name is. And I'll learn from that. I'll bounce back from that. And I'll make the adjustment next time. It's okay. Now I know for next time. Support yourself. Don't be mean to yourself. That's very important. And then fourth point is that comparison kills confidence. I was someone who wasn't really confident in themselves. I didn't really hate myself. I didn't dislike myself, but I didn't really like who I was either. So what did I lack? Confidence. But you know why I lacked confidence? Because I would look at other people and think, man, there's so much more athletic than me. Oops, sorry, I dropped my mic. Sorry about that. But I would think about other people. I would compare myself to other people, and I'd be like, dang, they're way much more athletic than me. I'm better at sports, or they're taller, they're smarter, they're this and that. Sorry about the noises in the background. But when you realize, man, you're comparing yourself, what you know about yourself, to what you see on somebody in the inside, or on the outside, I'm sorry. You don't know what that person's going on behind the scenes, going back at home, this and that. And that's why it's so important just to compare yourself to who you were back then. You know what I mean? There's no point to compare yourself to other people, especially in high school, guys. Because when I'm speaking about my time that I wasn't confident, it was just in high school. And literally, once you get out of high school, none of that matters. Literally, there's no point to compare yourself, because after high school and after that, we're all on our own journey. You know what I mean? When you're in school, yes, you guys are on the same journey. You guys are all about to graduate. But while you're on that path, realize, man, none of that, I'm not going to see you guys in a few years. I'm not going to talk to you guys in a few years, unfortunately. So why am I going to compare myself to you? If I'm not going to know where you're at in a few years, I'm not going to pay attention to you. I'm going to pay attention to myself and where I'm at in my own journey. So it's very important to cut comparison off, because comparison only is the thief of joy. And where does comparison get you? Nowhere. It only holds you back, because you don't even know the full story of that person, and you're comparing two different journeys that are going to go its own ways. So what's the point in that? You know what I mean? And your life is defined by your own story, what you do with it. Not by theirs, not by you comparing yourself to theirs. Nothing like that. And I feel like it's so easy to do that in sports specifically, but you just got to realize, man, most of these kids in sports ain't even going to make it to the league, bro. You know what I mean? Like, you got to be hella good to make it to the league. I'm sorry. That sounds like me hating. I'm sorry. That does sound like me hating. And I'm not. But that's very much the truth. I mean, yes, people are going to make it. Some people are not. So, and that's where I lacked in. Because in sports, I would kind of get, that's where I would compare myself at. Was specifically in sports. And that's kind of where I lost myself. So I want to help people out and understand, man, those people aren't even going to make it to the league anyway, man. Most of the time, they don't. Most of the people, they don't. But, you know what I mean? That doesn't mean you can't. That doesn't mean you can't. All right? Don't let my words affect you. I'm not saying that you can't. I'm saying you mostly will. You still can. But in terms of comparison, that's what I mean. And my next point is, kind of goes back to my other point about your thoughts become your reality. And then change your thoughts and your life changes too. It's literally what happened to me, guys. I realized, man, I was such a negative person. I wasn't in control of my emotions. I was comparing myself. And I realized, man, once I changed those thoughts about myself, started being more positive and being there for myself, I found myself not comparing, not having negative thoughts, not being my biggest own critique, but I started being my own biggest supporter, being there for myself and stopped comparing and just loving the person who I am today. You know what I mean? And you can't control everything that happens to you. That's such a big point. You know what I mean? Like, there's all life lessons we all went through, and we're like, damn, I wish I never went through that. But that life lesson made you who you are today. You know what I mean? Like, as much as you hate that girl that broke your heart, or you hate that dude that betrayed you, bro, like, it just made you change that perspective, change that idea, and change that thought into, man, it made me be more secure with myself, more trustworthy myself, more trustworthy in my gut and my instincts, because intuition is real. And, that shift alone can change how you live your life, because you won't be in that constant state of negativeness, of thinking life is bad. And you'll change that perspective, you change that mindset and that place to peacefulness, into thinking, man, I'm okay if I make a mistake. I'm okay if I take a loss, because I know I'm going to bounce back. I'm going to learn from it, And how you see yourself not just affects yourself, but affects how other people see you as well. I don't know about you guys, but I think specifically, I feel like more now, after you find yourself and after you like be in tune with yourself, you could kind of see the energy in other people and see if they're really connected with themselves. You know what I mean? Like, the energy you carry with yourself is kind of shown. You know what I mean? Like, and you could tell when someone is confident or not. You know what I mean? And I even had a past friend even tell me that time I wasn't in high school that I wasn't confident. I don't know why I did this. In the past, when I wasn't confident, even my own past friend told me, you just need to be more confident. You just need to be more confident. And in my head, I was like, man, how do I just be more confident? Like, it's easier said than done. You know what I mean? And that's just proof itself. Man, yeah, I wasn't confident, and that's what I lacked in, and that's the energy that was shown. You know what I mean? And even being self-belief, it's very shown as well. You know what I mean? Like, it says a lot. My next point, my last final point, kind of builds into what I said earlier. Your mindset is either your greatest tool or your biggest enemy. Yeah, if you think your life is simply full of negativeness and you're being your biggest own critique and you're thinking nothing but negative things and this and that, yeah, your mind's going to be against you. You're going to be your biggest enemy. The enemy was the inner me. Shout out Kimbo Slice for that quote. But that's so true. The enemy is always often the inner you that you have not connected to or been at peace with. You know what I mean? Because once you be in peace with yourself and connect with yourself, not does it only help your personal life, but it helps your career, your relationships, and everything in life. You're not going to take everything so negative. You're not going to take everything as, why did this happen to me? But you're going to take everything as maybe as an opportunity. Yes, you took that loss, but that's an opportunity you from to grow from that, to learn from that lesson, to be bigger than that moment. And your mind is what you feed it. You are what you eat. You are what you think. You know, if you think I'm just a loser who's never going to do anything in their life, I'm a bum, I'm a this, I'm a that. Yeah. That's your, yeah, if I wouldn't want a partner or a friend that thinks so low about themselves, man. Especially if I see you as someone so good. Bro, I want you to see the best in yourself. Why can't you see yourself as how I see you? That's what you want to tell yourself. And that's how you want to view yourself as well. As a whole nother person, as your own best friend, and be like, hey, man, look across in the mirror and be like, bro, this is not you. This is not who you want to be, and this is not how you want to continue living your life. And you know, it all starts in here and here. So make that war zone into a quiet, peaceful zone. You know what I mean? Be there for yourself, be kind to yourself, and know it all takes its time. All right? That means your progress is not always going to be a just straight diagonal line forward. There's obviously going to be times where you're going to have that first negative thought. You're going to have these first negative thoughts where like, damn, I feel so negative, and you'll try to battle against the positive, and maybe you'll get back to negative again. But as long as you know and being aware that you're being negative and you're shifting your thoughts at the end, if your last thought at the end is, I'm okay, that's not me, I'll learn, then you win. Then you win. You know what I mean? It all depends on what you feed your head and what you tell yourself. So keep that in mind. And please apply that to yourselves and get in tune with yourselves. Understand and ask yourselves, man, what is my perspective on life? What is my perspective on myself? And that will get you towards a direction. I mean, either you're lacking in confidence, your intuition, things like that, yada, yada, yada. Yeah. So, yes, guys, that was my point, and that was all my points throughout the videos. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. Hit that smash button, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button if you liked what you said and if you learned from today's video. Hopefully everything I said today was understanding. Have any questions, let me know. Go check out my official website, guys. Also, as that, I just want to let you guys know, I have my official website, so you could always check out my latest video on there if you haven't already. And you could always request a video. I have a question about this video or my video in the past, video this and that. Ask a question. You could always let me know. Or you want to suggest a video. You want to let me know about the next topic of the video. Maybe it's about sabotage, self-sabotage, or stepping into the unknown, this and that. Let me know. I'll always be gladly to talk about it. If I'm not aware of it, I'll learn more into it, and I'll let you know. You know, always asking a question. Also, you could rant it out. No, if you don't want to rant it out in the comments here, I'm always going to be down to be there for you guys. And if you could let me know if you want it in the video or not, do this and that. I want to be there for you guys. This is all a community, so feel free, guys. I love you guys. Have a good one, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Thank you guys for watching. Bye-bye.